to the programme, which today comes to you from Lewes, the county town of East Sussex. Now, the number of young mothers who have their babies taken into care is rising, but some are prepared to take drastic measures to keep their children. Rachel Royce reports. This is Bethany Little. Bethany's in trouble. Back in December, when she was 6 months pregnant, she received a kind of final demand letter, but it wasn't from the gas company, it was from social services.
What does it say? It says, please do not ignore this letter. Take it to a solicitor now. Your last opportunity to stop your children being removed from your care.
How did you feel when you read that?
Terrified.
The Social Services Department of Kirklees Council in West Yorkshire were worried that Bethany wouldn't be able to look after her baby properly once it was born. One of the reasons they gave was, you were reported by a member of the public to be intoxicated, lying on your grandmother and sister's grave, scarcely dressed and exposing yourself, and were picked up by an ambulance. The letter also says they have concerns about your alcohol misuse.
Apparently, I admitted drinking a bottle of whiskey a day prior to being pregnant.
Was there any truth in that?
No, I used to drink before I was pregnant, and when I was 3 months pregnant, I didn't know I was pregnant, and I got drunk. I got drunk and then got taken to hospital. But as soon as I found out I was pregnant, I stopped drinking.
Not surprisingly, Bethany was worried by the arrival of the letter. A few years ago, her sister had her baby removed, and she thought that this would make it more likely that her own baby would be taken into care as well. So Bethany didn't stick around. She ran away to France. Bethany went to stay with Gina Holcombe-Jones, who's originally from Hastings. Gina had once been in a similar position, but she'd had 5 children taken into care after concerns were raised by social services, including East Sussex. There were allegations of domestic abuse towards her by various partners. Gina's solution, when she found out she was pregnant with her 6th child, was to flee to France, where she gave birth to Ruby and more recently baby Maisie.
You're so adorable.
Since the girls were born in a different country, they were out of the jurisdiction of social services back in the UK. But she told me that losing her first 5 children was traumatic.
Wincy spider. It's something that would never heal. It's like mourning a death, but without a death.
East Sussex Social Services told us they can't comment on individual cases. However, they did tell us they're very concerned about parents fleeing the country and that it could put both mother and child at even greater risk. Gina now offers her home to other mothers with the same problem, although she does charge rent and other expenses. Social services in the UK don't take children unless they think there is considerable risk. Are you not putting those children at risk by allowing them, helping them to flee here?
Not at all, because we inform the local authority here. I've worked very closely with the French authorities, including the police.
We were unable to check out Gina's story. Loire-Atlantique Council, the authority responsible for child protection in the region, didn't wish to comment. Some of the mothers are staying in caravans in Gina's garden. She's taken in 8 families in less than a year, including Bethany, helping her and some of the others to have their babies in the local French hospital. Of course, any social services department will only seek to take a baby into care when they believe it won't be looked after properly and could come to harm either physically or emotionally. But the University of Lancaster has done some new research looking at the numbers of babies taken at or soon after birth. They've discovered that the rate of removals is rising.
Our latest statistics showed that we'd gone from removing about 800 infants a year up to 1,300 infants in 2013. We're doing more work with that data, but what we can say is a sharp increase in infant removals.
What is your view of our child baby removal rates?
I mean, I think our infant removal rates are pretty scary, really. You know, the direction they're going in. If they're rising sharply now, where will we be in another 5 years?
And last week, the country's most senior family court judge added his voice to the concerns about rising number of children coming before the courts. Sir James Munby doesn't think that child abuse or neglect can be rising as sharply as referrals would suggest, and says changes in local authority behaviour must be playing a significant role. But the local government association, who speak for social services, told us there's been an increase in demand for children's services, partly as a result of increasing public awareness about child protection issues. Back in northwest France, Bethany has given birth to a baby boy and she's calling him Louis. He's just 1 week old. I'm learning that Bethany's life is hugely troubled. She spent teenage years in hostels in London. One of her sisters committed suicide, the same sister on whose grave Bethany was found lying drunk.
Because my sister committed suicide and I was depressed. Social services didn't want to look after me. They didn't want to give me any help. They were shoving me in and out of bloody hostels. That's all they were doing.
But why has the rate of infant removals risen so sharply?
Certainly we know that many of our services that offered that broad family support have suffered major cutbacks, children's centres, family support. So the local authority is left with fewer options, and one of them is removal.
The local government association told us that councils have faced significant funding cuts since 2010-11 and that they're having to make difficult choices. Sophie Humphreys is from the charity Pause, which helps mothers who've had babies taken into care. She was once a social worker herself, overseeing the removal of children. She says she doesn't know of a single child that was taken from its mother without good reason.
Nothing has come to my attention where I think, oh, they made the wrong decision, that woman should have all her children.
But she set up a charity because she feels that very little is being done to help women who've had a baby taken. If nothing is done, women can end up in a destructive cycle where they end up having baby after baby removed.
One of the things I saw was this pattern of the same woman, literally year after year, becoming pregnant, and then us removing yet another child. And what was really striking was that what you'd see is that so little happened. This woman was in the same position, but actually her condition, the level of chaos she was living in, was very much the same as you'd seen her literally kind of 18 months before that.
Gina from Hastings, who, as we heard, had 5 children removed, says it leaves an emotional hole in a mother's life.
Once you've had a child taken, you've got this overwhelming feeling to mother. It's an instinct that just won't leave you alone. And the only way to fix that is by having another baby.
Every time I sit down and eat,
With so many troubled women in the house, it's not surprising that the atmosphere was sometimes tense. During our visit, Gina and Bethany were often in tears after arguments, so Bethany decided to leave. After getting an emergency passport for Louis, the family got a ferry back to Portsmouth. I caught up with Bethany and her mother Jane at a hotel in Sussex. She was back in the country, but still hiding from social services. Because Bethany's sister had a baby taken into care, she's afraid that social services have labelled her entire family, and any future babies she might have will also be taken into care. So Bethany, what's your worst fear about the future for you and being a mother?
It's them taking him and then me getting pregnant again and just taking my babies and taking my babies, because I'll be just trapped in that cycle. Because they're taking one kid, they think that they can take him over and over and over and over and over again.
But what we have found is that if you've had a child removed before, the chances, on average, of you having another child removed are very high. So you've got something like a 60% chance of your infant going straight into care. And I think that does bear out some of what women are saying to us, that they feel their car's marked and things are set against them from the start.
Did you drink and take drugs? Did they have a reason to be concerned?
I didn't take drugs, but yeah, I'm a 22-year-old girl. Of course I had a drink. But when I found out I was pregnant, I stopped.
Bethany doesn't want to suffer the same fate as her sister, but she also doesn't want to spend her life on the run. So while I'm with her, she decided to cooperate with social services. She hopes to convince them that she will be a good mother and they will let her keep her baby. So she phoned her social worker.
Yeah, hello, this is Bethany. Well, I'm going to be coming into social services tomorrow. I'm prepared to do everything it takes and to show you. Travelling from Gatwick to Yorkshire.
The social worker warned Bethany that the longer she left it, the worse things would be.
Right, bye-bye.
What do you think? Hopeful?
Yes.
It's Bethany's last day on the run. Her father, Keith, has arrived at the hotel to drive the family back to Huddersfield. Quick question, how do you feel all about it this morning?
You have to think positive,
Yeah.
even though it doesn't always go how you want it to. Yes, I'm optimistic.
Glad to have Bethany coming home?
Of course. It's where we should all be together.
The family set off around 10:30. They've made an appointment to see social services at 3 p.m, but they've got a long drive ahead of them. They finally arrive in Huddersfield late at 4 p.m. and have just half an hour to see someone in social services before the office shuts.
I'm going in with my mother.
Yeah, and what's the plan? Have you got a strategy?
Well, I was going to go in the car seat, but I thought, strap them to me, and if they try to do anything, I'll run like heck.
And what about how you're going to be with them, do you think?
Very, very polite. Ooh. Just very, very calm and polite.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you.
Bethany and her mother Jane are in with social services for about 20 minutes. So what happened?
What happened? The woman that I wanted to see wasn't there. They just wanted to see if he was okay, and they're making an appointment to come see me.
Oh, when are they going to come see him?
They haven't said any.
No, they didn't actually
They didn't actually say.
A few minutes later, thinking the family are on the way home, I find them still in the car park. Bethany's just had an upsetting phone call. Bethany, what's happened?
Hello, I've just been on the phone with the police, and they said, I haven't been in, but I've got a recording to prove that I have, and also this right now. They've called the police up saying that I haven't even been in, and that's a concern.
Did they call before you went in, do you think? Do you think that's because you were late, maybe?
No, because as soon as I come, no, they said 10 minutes ago, and we've been in longer than that. Sorry, I feel sick.
The family returned to Jane's home, a two-bedroomed house on the outskirts of Huddersfield. Bethany has her own place, but is staying here for the moment for support. It's a relief for all of them to be home. I left the family for their first night all together in months. Bethany was quite fearful that she might yet get a knock on the door from social services to take Louis. But it didn't happen. For Bethany, fleeing to France, giving birth in a foreign hospital and staying with strangers was stressful, but she was reacting out of fear of losing her baby. But Gina is still encouraging vulnerable mothers to flee. You're doing it to help the families. Is it also to say something to UK social services?
Yeah, that you're not going to win anymore. You've got a fight in your hands with me, and I told you guys that the day that you took my children, you will regret it. And I'm going to prove, not just for the sake of my own children, but for everyone's children, you guys are doing wrong.
We spoke to Bethany again recently, and she told us she had good news. She said her social worker had no more concerns and has closed the case. She can keep her baby.